Greetings, everyone. This is Jeff Wilkerson, Professor of Physics at Luther College, bringing you the next in our series of what to look for in the night sky. This time we're talking about the week of August 22nd, 2022. So we're working our way through August here. And we're going to circle back and look at the center of the galaxy, the Scorpius-Sagittarius region that we talked about a little while ago. We talked about Sagittarius, so we haven't focused on Sagittarius. Sagittarius is here. I think it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the video. You could go back and find that video. I recommend it. There's the body of the teapot of Sagittarius. There's the lid. There's the spout. And the handle's back this direction. That's a terrible job with the handle. The handle's back this direction. It just gets worse and worse, right? So close enough. So the handle's back here. This is the teapot of Sagittarius that we looked at. We did a better job a few weeks ago of labeling these stars and marking them out. So let's identify the stars of Scorpius here. Antares. We're going to start with Antares. If you wait for the next week, if you wait for the week of August 29th, at the end of that week, as we get into the 1st of September, the moon will slide by here. So if you have trouble finding these stars and you wait, and we'll talk about this again next week to remind you of this, if you wait until the first couple of days of September, the moon will pass through here very close to Antares and might help you find it. But you might be able to find Antares because you walk outside right now as it gets darker. If you live where I live, anywhere close to the mid-northern latitudes, and you walk outside just as it gets dark and you look to the southwest, when you look to the southwest, Antares will be the first star that appears in that southwest, and it's orange, it's red. We talked about some other time, we always use Allen's star names as our guide to identifying the names of stars. So there's my plug for Allen there. And to say that Antares translates as rival of Mars because it's big and bright like Mars, not quite as bright as Mars, big and bright like Mars, and orange-red like Mars. So that's you should see an orange-red star start to appear in the southwest as it gets dark. That's Antares. Then as it gets darker, you might start to see the stars that form the head of the Scorpion out ahead. So this is Scorpius here, out ahead of Antares to the west. And then we have the sweep back this direction, big long sweep of a Scorpion's tail. Now most of this I can't actually see very well. A lot of these are bright stars. Okay? Antares is a very bright star, but once you get past Antares and get to these other stars, a lot of these are second magnitude stars. Second magnitude is a good, solid, bright star, and I see these with no problem. But up here, where I am, 43 degrees north latitude, when I'm looking south, this gets so even below the horizon most of the time, but lost in the soup of the horizon even if it's not below the horizon, so I typically don't see that part of the constellation. I do see these two stars that mark the tail of Scorpius, and these two stars that mark the tail of Scorpius, Shaura and Lasaf, Alan will tell us they both translate from Arabic as the sting. And I haven't had a chance to do this. I promise you I will sometime. I want to track that down, right? There must be just beautiful, wonderful, subtle difference in the meanings of those two words to translate as the sting. But these are the stingers of the Scorpion. So at some point in the future, just watch for that. Just watch. Just keep watching to see if we circle back to this and talk about the difference in the meanings of those two words. And so we've got the stinger of the Scorpion here marked by these two stars. And I can see that where I am, and hopefully you can see that above your horizon where you are. If you live south of me, if you live 10 degrees south of me or 15 degrees south of me, you could see this whole sweep of a tail, probably no problem at all. So that's great for you. But these two stars, see the two stars pop right here. Now this whole region, and then Sagittarius sits up here above Scorpius like this. I've probably underdrawn the size of Sagittarius there just a little bit. Relative to Scorpius, since we were focusing on Scorpius. Yeah, let's say it was intentional. That's great. So see if you can find these stars here. I'm going to recommend to you, if you have time and you want to do this, I took pictures a couple of weeks ago. I took pictures of this region of the sky just with my cell phone. And I posted them on our website. You go to luther.edu, right? luther.edu/astronomy. And when you go to /astronomy, you can poke around in there, and there's a page called Asterisms. And on the page called Asterisms, you can see actual pictures of the regions of the sky I talk about here each week often. I don't always have pictures of the constellations, but I do. Asterisms just refer to the bright star pattern associated with each constellation. And so I do now have one for Sagittarius and one for Scorpius. And on one of those pages, I think the page for Sagittarius, I have both of them together so you can see the orientation like this. And I have the stars marked in each of these. Really a helpful guide, much more helpful than what I'm drawing on the board right here, to give you a sense of what to look for when you poke around in this region of the sky. So go look at these asterisms, look at Sagittarius and Scorpius. And what we're going to do here now, try to find Antares, and then see as many of the stars of the sweep of the Scorpion stellar as you can, and find the 2 stars that mark the stinger of the Scorpion. And then we're going to focus our attention on open star clusters. And we've talked about where open star clusters are before. If you look at our galaxy, it looks something like this. I've probably drawn this picture 100,000 times. And we're out here, and where we're looking right now is directly toward the center of the galaxy. The center of the galaxy is right here, folks. It's right here above the spout of Sagittarius, above the tail of Scorpius. And so that's directly toward the center of our galaxy. And we're looking down through here. The disk of our galaxy, like this, is filled with open star clusters. Open star clusters have a few tens of stars, typically to a few hundred stars, maybe up to a few thousand stars. There's sprinklings of individual stars. We see the dark space between the stars, as opposed to globular star clusters where we don't often see. They merge together. They're so dense. A lot more stars there. So we see open star clusters scattered along here. So looking in this direction, we're looking through a lot of open star clusterage, okay? So we can see a lot of open star clusters. Let's look at a few of them here. M6 and M7 are right there, sort of halfway between Shaula and Lasaf and the spout of the body of Sagittarius. So if you just move up toward the spout of Sagittarius, you'll come across M7, and then move up toward the top of the spout, the tip of the spout, that direction, aligned with the top of the spout, you'll get to M6. 2 big, bright, open star clusters. The first time I saw these, okay, we go back, we're talking 40 years ago, folks. 40 years ago, I was on the farm where my mother grew up. And so on the farm where my mother grew up, it was dark, away from the city lights, such as the city was where I grew up, not huge, but it was much darker and beautiful. And I was out watching the Perseid meteor shower, which we just had passed us. So it was this time of year, and it was probably actually 41 years ago that we're talking about right now. And I was out there. I had this with me while I was out there looking. This is a Norton Sky Atlas 2000. So I have this Sky Atlas that helps me find all of these objects in the sky. It's just maps of the sky, right? Beautiful, wonderful maps of objects in the sky. You see it's in great shape. So it's been with me for all these many, many decades. And I saw M6 and M7 crawl across the horizon. And when I say I saw them crawl across the horizon, I saw them with my naked eye. So if you have a good southern horizon and you have dark skies, you can see these 2 open star clusters as glowing patches. Take your binoculars and point at them, or as I had a little sort of toy telescope, something you could buy at a toy store almost, a little tiny refractor telescope, and they were just glittering jewels of star clusters in there. So if you have a wide field of view in your telescope, I recommend these highly, not just because I'm nostalgic about them. You know, there I was 40 years ago on that night enjoying these things, and here I am 40 years later still being able to talk to you. What a great life, you know. All these years later, I can still think about the sky and study the sky and talk about the sky, and I can think about all the wonderful times that I've seen these things since then. So M6 and M7 are there. Now, if you make a right angle turn and go up this direction, up right above, follow the stars from the top left star in the body of the teapot up to the dome of the teapot, on up the same distance around here, you come to another open star cluster, M21. Not quite as spectacular in my mind as M6 and M7, but a good open star cluster. And if you just scan this region with binoculars, you'll probably start to see these. Some of these will pop out to you if you have dark enough skies, even without binoculars. There's really faint patches, maybe. And you're going up at more or less that same distance. You got to curve back. So you go bam, bam, curve back a little bit. You get to M23. Another beautiful open star cluster. Well worth observing. This one's special to me because that's the one students and I have been studying the stars. We've been studying 1,600 stars in that field of view with M23 for the last 20 years. And so you go to our website again, go to luther.edu/astronomy, but now go to research instead of asterisms, and you can see all kinds of light curves of variable stars and other things, and those are all come from this region right here by M23. We've been looking at that. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of images of this field of view. So now we go up here, and then we come back the same distance over here. You've got M24, another fine open star cluster in M25. So we go M7 to M6 up to M21, which we got to from the dome, the lid of the teapot, and then we just curl up around, and it's our tour of big, beautiful open star clusters that are scattered along the disk of our galaxy right here. Individual stars, you see the bright, glittering individual stars like that when you look in there. And all of these open star clusters are rich enough to be really great in binoculars or a very small telescope. Small telescope with a wide field of view where you can see these things. So this is the center of our galaxy, looking down that direction. Go find the stars of Scorpius. Go back a couple weeks and look at our video from then to see the Sagittarius, or just go to the website and look at the pictures that we have out there to see the stars of Sagittarius. Practice identifying those. Think about the galaxy, the geometry of the galaxy, and looking down the disk of the galaxy toward the center here, and then find these big, beautiful open star clusters. It's just a wonderful tour of open star clusters. We can do the same thing with globular star clusters, and guess what? At some point we probably will. So I really, really, really hope you all have a fantastic week. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll have something new and fresh for you next week. Thanks, everybody.